I'd just like to ask Kerry, you said between 12 and 13 chapters. Roughly how many pages would you consider within those?
I think it's about 40,000 words, so that's the best I can do with that. I actually went over that, had to pay more money. but yeah, no, I think I ended up with about 43,000 words. That's, I don't know how many pages is that? I don't even know how many pages my book has. Here we go, 172 pages.
And so is each chapter roughly the same number of pages?
I think because you probably work on around 3,500 yeah, per chapter.
Thank you.
I've got two questions actually for Brenda, if that's okay. First of all, thank you. I really loved everything you said. It's very inspiring and motivating. And I think I needed to hear a few things, and I got lots of notes. That's awesome. My question is, when you, first of all, did you self-publish or use a publishing house?
So I chose to self-publish.
Yes. And so how did you go about editing your book?
I hired an editor in the UK,
Okay.
brilliant woman. She's still available. She still does that. And so you have different kinds of editors. I'm sure you're probably in the same process as well. So there are editors that look at the storyline of it, and there's some that just do grammar, fixing up spelling words and things like that as well. You need to determine where and when they are suited in the process and hire both or just the one that you need.
Okay, and at which, so how do you know, so that's my big problem at the moment, how do you know at which point, like how do you make that decision? Because I've got like a full first draft that's been edited and I still feel I need to get down 100 pages, like I know it needs to be tightened, so do I get half now or do you think I should rework it one more time before how do I make that decision?
I think, personally, I think if you've already finished your writing everything that you want to write, always just read it over once for yourself and just think of, are there going to be any open loops that are going to be left in a person's mind? Because it's those open loops that need to be closed, because you don't want to leave a person hanging thinking, well, how did she actually finish this? So every chapter that you have, close it off, so that it is, they're settled with the who, what, why, when and how, basically. And type of thing. Once you've read it and the sequence flows well and you feel like that it is, it feels like a good story, hand it over to somebody just to do a first draft for you. It doesn't even have to be a paid somebody. It can actually be a friend or your group of around you. And you can just say, would you mind reading my manuscript and just give me an idea? Does it flow? Does it make sense? Does it feel like, if you're writing chronologically or whatever it is, does it feel like that's, the sequence is correct? I've just done that for a friend in the UK. She's just written her book. She sent it all through to me on Google Drive, and I've just gone through the whole book for her as well and made comments and notes of where I felt, oh, this is going to raise a question. And if it raises a question, where's the answer? And that kind of thing. Or is it leading to something else for the answer? So once you've decided that you can get, and once somebody's given you feedback, you can do the few tweaks and then obviously get your paid editors to go through it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was a great question. Wonderful. Adam, you had a question?
Spitballer. So I love that. And a fellow greyhound lover.
Yeah, you two would get along very, very well. Yes.
I've adopted four. I just say, how about copyright? I'm at that stage now where I'm going to self-publish. It's a kind of two-part thing. I was rushed into it to do it because I've got a big thing in June, and I've kind of put together like a recipe book of what I do, which is selling and service and all that. So it's ready to roll. I've had an editor ready to roll, and people suggested to put it on just ebook first and not publish it to a written format. Just for this as a bit of a handout for what I'm doing, and then the full book comes out at the end of the year. So how do I do? Maybe you've done an ebook. I self-publish an ebook, and do you need copyright for that?
You answer.
Yeah, so, I would copyright everything that you do, so that's pretty,
How?
well, you can, it's pretty, you can just put in, there's some standard terms.
Yeah.
You can, so you can get them, depending on where you decide that you're going to publish it, so to speak, self-publishing, or you can get legal written, so law path and things like that have little disclaimers that you can use. But there are general formatting things, so like Ingram Spark as an example will have some general the terms that you can use.
Yeah.
But the other thing is you need your, so you've got to get your ID.
Yeah,
So,
got that, yeah.
so once you've got that, then that will obviously form part of it. E-book, you can decide if you want to go down the Amazon path, which is probably where you've gone. So you can,
Yeah.
but depends if you want it exclusive or not. So there's different ways.
I'm not sure if I'm right, but I'm told if you go down the Amazon path, you can't then distribute the book by yourself to even as a promotion. Is that correct?
There's,
No.
So I can still hand it out as like a,
It's
yeah.
all hands. So I've got mine with Ingram Sparks, and I've got mine with Amazon, and I've got
Yeah.
mine with, I think it's Goodreads or something
Yeah.
like that as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it all just depends. So you have to go through the KDP.
Yeah, KDP, yeah.
Inside
Yeah.
Amazon,
Yeah.
you just go read their terms and conditions
Yeah.
Yeah.
very carefully. That's why I chose to work with a coach, because
Yeah.
she did all the
Yeah.
hard work for me, basically, in terms of the research, told me what I could do, what I
That
couldn't.
would be great
and
6
I
months to
did
get
it.
to know you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing you go through Ingram Spark's really good for going through all the processes and reading everything and do this, do that. That's really helpful. And I think and also too, if you're using someone, say on Fiverr to do your formatting and stuff, you can actually ask that question and say, look, you know, just want to check this, check that, and they'll help you as well. It depends on who it is and what they offer in regards to their services. So yeah, it really depends on who you engage to help you with different things. But so you just ask questions through that process. Is probably so. The formatting of the ebook is really easy.
Yeah.
And costs next to nothing. Depends on how many pages and what's in it.
Yeah.
I guess.
About 100. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that shouldn't be too expensive whatsoever. But yeah, Amazon, can be either exclusive through there, which depends on which way you want to go. So I was the same.
I'm a bit like you guys. I don't really care who reads it. It was really just to say it was there. It was for an industry that's hated. So
Yeah.
I think they very cheap. They do. There's 20 million people drive 20 million cars out here.
Yeah.
The industry holds 600,000 people, and the people I deal with are the same people at home. And
Yeah.
it's a real sad reflection of their journey. So this is for them, So I hate the book.
That's
Thanks,
it.
Adam.
As long as you're happy, that's
Okay.
fine.
Any other questions?
I have a question that someone emailed in. Did any of you look at using a publisher and having to do the whole proposal and all that sort of thing? Can you talk a bit about what that process is like?
I went through, I had a company in the United States of America contact me, and I worked through them. The process is really strenuous. I chose not to do it, and to me, I didn't need that in any case because the cost is also high. You pay a lot up front, they then pay you, a certain amount in any event, and they hold a lot of the rights to that book, where you only get a small amount from it. However, there are books that are out there that definitely should be published by a publishing house like Hayes. I also looked into Hayes as well. I know somebody here, I don't know if you know, I'm just trying to think of her name. She wrote Stalked by Demons, Protected by Angels, or something like that. Simone.
Yes.
Okay, so Simone Yen, she's actually worked through that whole publishing process, and she probably would be able to answer that question a lot better than what I could. Yeah.
Thank you.
I've got a question for Karen, actually. When you had your 9 months block, I'm curious to know what was the actual advice that was given to you that allowed you to keep moving again. Because you reached out to the people and asked for help, but what did they say that triggered action again for you?
To be honest, I can't remember. But I guess it was probably, just write what you want to write, and send it in and let us have a look, or something simple like that. But for me, and I think it is a wiring thing for me, my brain, it just got stuck on that, because when I went to school, there was always a right answer, and everything else was wrong. And I was so not able to give them what I thought should be a right answer. So, that's just been from social conditioning and so on. So it was breaking free from that.
So did you just
Yes.
need permission to
I
progress
think
forward?
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be a fair way to look at it, just that whatever you do is okay and we'll work with that, you know, so. Yeah, if I remember the specifics of it, Sharon knows, so she can let you know.
Wonderful. Any other questions? Woo! Fabulous. Please.
Hands going up.
Maybe that's a silly question. Whenever I just write something, I just get the idea from everywhere, just meet the people from down. I write something and I just stuck in some way and I'm totally blank. I couldn't write anything. If that situation, like how you manage and how you come back into writing.
Like a writer's block?
No, I'm writing a book now, but
Yeah.
sometimes whenever I'm writing, I have every information. I try to write. Sometimes I write in the morning, sometimes in the evening. The writing, maybe after half an hour, I'm totally blank, and I just
Yeah, right.
I don't know how to
Yep.
reactive in writing. What you do, just what tips.
John.
I'm trying to think. I didn't really have writer's block, but I had perfectionism
Yeah.
issues. So I think sometimes I guess it's trying to work out what is causing the writer's block. Is it because you're afraid of what other people will say, and so what's the root cause? So really trying to reflect on what's stopping. I think is because you're always thinking, that someone will be quick, when there's someone out, what do you write that for? What a wanker, that sort of stuff. And that's, they're real feelings and thoughts. And so I think it's really trying to understand why you're writing in the first place and use that to help motivate your brain. Or, if you've got too much going on, then you maybe need to go for a walk and do something completely different, switch off from tech and go and just wander, go around to Shag Bay or somewhere and just wander and just be you. So I
Don't
think,
force it, in other words.
I could
So-
add something to that, if that's okay, and that is that you can do some writing, but not for that project.
yeah.
So some wild writing where you can use a jump off like hello to. So hello to the trees out the window, hello to the bugs in the carpet, hello to this stupid not writing thing, hello to, and you just use a couple of words, and it might not be those, it might be anything really, just pick up a book and open it and use the first few words of a sentence and then just keep going with it. And the other is to have your page there and just move the pen, and it doesn't matter if it's making words or not, just move it. And, and eventually a word comes, and wild writing is just anything that comes into your head. So I am so pissed off with this bloody writing thing, and I don't know what I'm doing, and, and you actually write that down, it just shifts something. So, the same as the going for a walk, I guess, but if you want to stay at your desk, that could be a way to kind of loosen things up a bit.
Post-it notes. So good.
Oh,
Good ideas. I love that that Kerry's just said, because that's exactly how the artists are taught to kill a white canvas, because there's nothing more fearful than a white canvas. And your page is a white page. And so we fear putting down that first paint stroke, and we fear putting down that first word because we feel like we have to get it right. So you have to give yourself permission. What if I don't get it right? What if I just have fun while I'm doing this? And so one of the things is that conscious stream of thought. You just start writing, let your hand move, as Kerry said, over that page. Just write anything. Oh, I'm going to cook the most amazing lasagna this evening, and boy, oh boy, are we going to have fun. And from there, suddenly you'll just see your thoughts will start flowing, and then you can discount the top part and start using that. There's also a little quote that says this: inspiration will find you working. And so I think can't remember if it was Socrates or Aristotle or somebody that wrote that. It means that while you are sitting there, you have to take action, okay, for inspiration to come. And that's moving your hand. Use your left hand, turn in a circle, put on some loud music, do anything that can break your state, because the minute you start working, that the thoughts are going to start flowing. That's the inspiration that will come.
But are you typing or writing?
But use both.
And we've got time for probably one final question. We don't need to have you leave until 1:30, but it is 1 o'clock and I'm mindful of people needing to go. So we've got time for Jess to ask a question and then we will wrap up, but we won't kick you out. You're welcome to stay until 1:30 if you would like to. Jess?
I was sort of wondering for all of you, what is the place for audiobooks as part of your work? 'Cause it's, maybe especially you, Brenda, could see like your confidence book being something in an audiobook. Is that an avenue worth exploring? Or?
Yes, absolutely. And so for me, I have a podcast which is, I'm busy working on. Haven't put it out there yet.
I was going to say, I don't know about this podcast, but that's why.
And the reason I actually bought that was because a friend of mine, Anna Stam, many years ago went and bought me my first Blue Yeti mic. And that was sort of like the inspiration of put it out there. And so I know that on Amazon as well, with the KDP, they have a lot of space for Audible. You just have to decide whether you are going to record your own voice reading it or whether you're going to get somebody else to do that for you and then put it out there. Yeah. Books and things really and truly make great tools for courses or sort of like entries into courses and things like that as well, which is really great.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
Thank you, everyone. So before we do wrap up, if our